Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk, back again with another project for you, and this time it's a variation on sort of a buckle fronted card, and you can see here that we've just got a little buckle that opens up so you can write your greeting on the inside. I've used the lovely Tranquil Tulips stamp set for this, and this is a stamp set that is exclusive to hostesses and is a photopolymer two-step stamp set. So it's got these lovely sort of little, almost like lavender heads here, some leaves and different sizes of tulips. I've just used the single size here. You've also got some accents which I haven't used today. Although when I've come to do it, I found that I must have done my original in crushed curry, because when I've put my layers on in Daffodil Delight, obviously they're a different colour. But I can't find my crushed curry ink pad. I used it in a class and it seems to have disappeared. Anyway, we're going to do it in Daffodil Delight, so it should look a whole lot better than this at the end. I've created just a little aperture on this side here using the little 1/2-inch punch, but this one from the fruit stand, Tutti Frutti fruit stand with the old one, would work just as well if you haven't got a small 1/2-inch punch. Obviously, you don't have to add the little bar either, but I just thought it was rather nice just to add a little bit of interest. So on with the card making. The first thing we're going to need to do is cut our card base. So for ease of cutting it in half afterwards, I'm using a 4-inch wide piece of cardstock, and I'm cutting that to 11 inches. And I'm scoring on the long edge at 2 3/4 and at 8 1/4. Then turn it back to portrait, and at 2 inches from the bottom, cut up to the first score line, and from the top down, like so. So you'll end up with a piece of card that has 2 cuts in it, like that. We need some layers as well. So the layer for the central panel is 5 1/4 inches, which is what this is here, and that is by 3 inches, because I haven't come down all the way to the bottom. So that's going to leave us with some space at the bottom here, but also allows for some overlap. You could make it slightly narrow if you want to, and if the stamping doesn't quite go right, then you can always do that as well. Sometimes if I leave it a little bit bigger, I find that it gives me a little bit of wriggle room in case of errors, a little bit along the way. Then you need a piece of sorry, my cat has decided to come and join in. If you suddenly see a ginger tabby, that you'll know what it is. The width for white is 5 by 2 3/4. So this piece isn't going to be wide enough. So let's cut our 2 3/4 by 5 inches. Okay. So again, that's going to just layer up like so. We're going to corner around the edges. While we've got the trimmer out, we're going to cut our front panels as well. So we need some whisper white for that. So we want 2 panels which are 2 1/2 by 1 1/2. So that's 2 1/2. So just trim those to 1 1/2. Pop those to one side. And we want to do the same with our 2 panels which are 2 1/2 by 1 3/4. So this is a useful time to use up any scraps that you might happen to have. I keep mine in with my main sheets. So 2 1/2 again by 1 3/4. So that they're ready to use. And then while I've got my scraps out, I'm going to cut my bar out of the yellow as well. Okay, so pop the trimmer away, and we can and start off doing some corner rounding followed by some stamping. So corner rounder, I've just got an old one that I happen to have here. So I'm going to come in and just corner round at the top there. Each of our panels. Now just remember on the front we've got them coming in from either side, so I find it's useful just to sort of layer them up as I'm going to do them. Oh, I've cut that one not quite right. Or that one. Yeah, okay. So those actually should be by 1.5. So I'm just going to very quickly uh, 2.25 by 1.5. So they're 1.5 wide. So I'm just going to trim that to 2.25. Let's do it properly. Note to self, always use your trimmer on a flat surface because otherwise it just doesn't work. Right, what I'm going to do is trim away these top panels and then I can use those for my lower panels, which is what I did originally. So just trim. And I don't use my trimmer for doing those because I've already scored it. You do find that if you're not careful, it will dig in a little bit. So 2.25 by 1.5. And then the other one 2.25. Right. There we go. Sorry, stop talking there. So yes, when I'm cutting something that I've already scored, I will usually do it with scissors because, as I say, because you've already stretched the fibres, that means it's not quite such a smooth surface, and your trimmer may just catch in it. So that's just something to note for yourself. So those are our layers. And we've got our little bar there. And this is our card base here. So you'll see I've trimmed those away. So we're just going to fold and burnish those before coming in and just rounding those corners as well. I haven't done corner rounding for a while actually. I just thought it just have fitted quite nicely with the pattern, with the sort of shape of the tulips really. So, one card base, all ready for decorating. Then our panels for stamping are these ones here. So put everything else to one side. And I'm going to come in with some garden green for my stems. So, all I'm doing is coming in and I'm putting them fairly low so I've got space to put my tulip heads in as well. And I found I made this mistake before, that actually I started at one end, and really what you want to do obviously is come in and get those tulip heads in the centre first, and then you can come in and put some more stems on either side to create the full effect. And then you can use probably single stems on these here, which is what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to pop up a single stem. Like so. And I'm just doing the main image on those first. There we go. So those are our main flowers, and just come in with our second one. That's going to go over the top. Not being a good day today, is it? I've forgotten my Stampin' Pierce mat. There we go. Oh, that's better. It's giving a much better definition on that image. And the beauty of these is they don't have to line up exactly, but they do look so pretty. Once you've done that, you can then come in with your leaves, and there are 2 leaf shapes here. So I'm going to use this one. I'm just going to pop a piece of scrap paper under the edge. What I do tend to do is get my I get my ink, I Stampin' Pierce mat all inky, and then I'll suddenly come to stamp on it and find I've got some stray bits of ink which doesn't look very attractive. As you can see there, you can just add more layers as you want, but that's our main panel. So I'm using the skinny, I'm going to use the skinny leaf, so the stem here for these panels. And I'm using 2 colours of, on these ones, which are Wisteria Wonder, so that's from our Subtles range. And I'm using Perfect Plum. So I'm using Perfect Plum to kind of give some definition. Now, if you'd only got one of these, you could again use Stamping Off technique to do that. So I'm going to do the wording first. And this comes from one of the Celebration stamp sets. You Are Loved. And I'm going to do that in the darker colour. So just pop that in there. So You Are Loved. And then I'm going to come in with my darker colour with those little flower heads. I'm going to try and get a better grouping on this one than I did on my first set. So I'm going to try and get some groups of 3 on either side there. Oh, apologies. Guess I didn't put her phone on silent. Oh, it always happens. And then again, I'm coming up and popping that infill. Now again, you could use Stamping Off to do that. So you could use the one colour for the first stamp and then stamp off, which means stamp on a scrap bit of paper before you come in and do this little bit. Pop my ink pad away. Okay, so I now have a cat coming to join in. Ouch, just been clawed by the cat. Apologies for that. I'm not quite sure what he's up to today, but he doesn't normally come in and interfere with my crafting. It's probably because I've just put my trimmer to one side and it's on his seat that he often uses. Either that or he's trying to tell me that yet again he's hungry, which of course is possible as well. Here we go. So that's our one piece. And then we can just come in here. Lids on my ink pads and pop those up out of the way. And obviously you could use Elegant Eggplant if you wanted, and Perfect Plum. Obviously Wisteria Wonder is what I've used there, but you could use lots of other colour combinations that you want. So now we're on to the assembly. Let's clear the deck slightly. Apologies for that. Okay, right. So now it's quite simply a job of layering up. that then goes onto the middle back section of our card. Our front layers go flat on, and then I'll show you what I've done to create the buckle, because I didn't want to have a hole going through the card. So what I've done is popped the buckle on there. I've then popped the layer on top, and I suppose I was thinking about stuff at, say, crocuses and hyacinths really, with this colour combination. And then what I'm going to do is come in and just punch. So look at that, have a look at where it is, and it just needs to be in here. Like so. And I'm going to pop that up on dimensionals. So let's pop a dimensional in either of those two corners and down here. And those crafters will know that these dimensionals get everywhere. So all you do is layer that one up. So that's the only one that's actually lifted up. But that just enables you to pop that in there. And there you have an improved version, because it's all the right colours. I say I used the Wisteria Wonder here, but I do think it looks better in the Perfect Plum. And I've got my groupings better on my flowers as well, so I'm much happy with that. If you wanted to add some dimension, what I've done here is I've just cut those out and added them onto the front there. But a pretty card that would be great for Mother's Day, which is coming up, or for any other event where you want to send a card to someone. So, thanks for watching. Come back and see me again soon. Bye now.